Hello, this is Elaine from Nabi Wool Studio, and you can find me on Instagram, Etsy, Ravelry, Facebook, Twitter, all over the place. Today, I'm not going to do a podcast about knitting. I know I haven't put out a podcast in a while, but I've had many things going on between the holidays and being sick. I actually fell and slipped on the ice yesterday and hurt myself, but um, there seems to be a lot going on right now, and I wanted to address some of it. I had a very hard time coming to a decision about whether or not I stay silent and stay out of controversy or join in the conversation. Um, because obviously I'm a person of color, and the conversation that's going on is directly influencing, affecting um, me. I'm all of it is something actually I have to face every day, whether or not the conversation is going on. So I wanted to talk about it from my point of view. And my biggest fear always with stuff like this is that I'm going to open myself up to things that I'm not ready to hear or don't want to hear. People being offensive and all kinds of things. Um, but this is just me trying to offer all of you a little understanding of what my life is like, um, and maybe to see the way you interact with people, whether or not you can understand that others react differently to what you say than maybe from what you mean, or even how somebody can say something, off the cuff and think it's no big deal, that it is a big deal to another person. So basically, this is something I've dealt with all of my life and still deal with, and deal with it in various degrees every day. And I can say that when I started joining in on Instagram and having a public profile, a forum where other people can see me, was was a little uncomfortable for me. And I basically took pictures that did not include my face because I didn't want people to make a decision about what I was doing because they saw what I looked like. And and I know that it affects lots of people to know that someone that they're not a white person. And also, when I decided to start my hand-eye company, I thought of all kinds of names for my company that would not reflect any sort of um, ethnicity involved, or any hint of who the person was behind the company, um, because I wasn't sure if that would affect how people would look at what I was creating, and I just wanted people to see what I was creating, and not the person who was creating it and having that affect what I created. So, but my friend did convince me that I should go with Nabi, which is Korean, meaning butterfly, and and I'm not sure if anybody ever looked into what that actually meant anyway. So, all of my life, I've dealt with different things being said to me, and a lot of it, I guess, is really just pure ignorance, and some of it you know, was out of um, harm and hatred towards something that is just me. I didn't choose to be Asian. I didn't. This is just who I am, and I have to say that while I was growing up, when I was young and living in New York City and Manhattan, there were many times that I basically decided that I had to try to blend in as much as possible. and it's just not possible to hide that I'm Asian. It's just not. But as a child, it was just too painful to constantly have it thrown at me, all the racial slurs every day, not being picked on the kickball team until the very end because I wasn't white. And regardless of whether I was a good player or not, which I wasn't, but that was not the reason why they did not pick me. Being put into any situation that was new was always scary because you never knew if someone would attack you for the fact that you were not white and knew nothing about you. So it was a constant fear, and as a child, it's hard because you're young and you don't know what to do, and you feel very vulnerable, and you don't know where it could escalate to. And as an adult, you also don't know that, but I think um, you're not as scared because you feel that you're strong enough to defend yourself against certain things. And a lot of times I've chosen not to defend myself and just to let it go out of fear of get being personally harmed or dealing with more slurs thrown at me. And and I'm not sure if these are things that other people think about and face. So this is just putting out my experience and what I've seen. So living in New York, there was a wide variety of people, and so I felt a little bit more comfortable with the fact that I did not stick out as much as, let's say, living in Switzerland, which is predominantly white. But I did face things every single day, basically growing up in New York. And as a child, it did make me feel a little ashamed sometimes of being Asian and trying very hard to figure out how to fit into whatever this mold was where you were not attacked daily because of something that you were. So I just think that there are little things that happen throughout, my day that I always wonder, well, is it me or is it because I'm Asian? Strangers treating me weirdly, speaking to me derogatorily or putting me down without even knowing me at all. All kinds of things that I deal with, and just little things that are also hysterical to me because I've dealt with so much sometimes that sometimes the ignorance is just so funny to me, although it's very sad. I was dyeing yarn one day, and I dye my yarn outside on my balcony in a very big pot. It's huge. And my neighbor looked up and saw me, and she said, "Oh, are you making rice?" And I thought to myself, am I making rice? Well, if I made rice in this pot, it would feed an entire village for an entire week. And it took everything in me not to scream back uh, things at her. But this is just the ignorance and the ridiculousness that people. What? Why would I be making rice out on my balcony? So it's just things like that it's purely, to me, crazy, but this is what goes on every day still. And I remember also walking with my friend, and another person of color said something to me, and my friend who was white turned to me and said, "Oh my God, I can't believe this. What century are we living in?" And she didn't know because she doesn't have to know. She doesn't deal with this every day unless she was going to walk with someone of color every day. And just simple things where when I was pregnant and I would not be offered a seat because, well, I was not good enough for a seat. And people who won't hand me change to my hand, um, and all kinds of little things that happen. And I just hope that people realize that these things affect a person every single day. And and yes, I'm strong enough to go against some of this, but if you're going against it every day, all day, sometimes it gets to you and it becomes overwhelming and overbearing. And I hope that we learn to think a little sometimes before we speak. And regardless of whether someone says something, I hope that we can try to teach them in a way that is not offensive right back. And I'm glad the conversation has started, and I hope that good comes out of this, and I hope that we learn to treat each other well and to always try to learn to also see things from another person's point of view, and that the world becomes a better place. Thank you.